Good morning, everybody. We're live here from the birdhouse, and we are about a third of the way through, or exactly a third of the way through the month of September. And so today we've got an update for you on some of the different birds that are passing through the upstate New York area, as well as some of the butterflies people are seeing around and some other things as well. So, as always, if you are on, you can say hi in the comments. If you have any questions, absolutely throw those in there too. And we love to know what kind of things you're seeing, no matter where you are in the country or even in the world. Post your sightings in those comments. First of all, if you are in the Rochester area or close to it, we do have a telescope night going on here Wednesday at 8 p.m. That is at Whitehaven Memorial Park. So that is really close to the store here. It's just about 10 minutes away or so from the birdhouse. For more information about Telescope Night, if you're interested on coming, go to our website, which is thebirdhouseny.com. We have an events section of the site, and you can see all the different events that we have going on for the rest of the year. And we are planning more and more every week. So the calendar should be full in the next couple weeks or so. We'll have a full calendar of events for the fall and the winter. So join us for Telescope Night this Wednesday, and that's going to go from 8 till 10 p.m. at Whitehaven Park. So that should be a lot of fun. It's our first one of the year. So we're looking forward to that. And it's migration time, so it's not spring migration, but it's fall migration. So some of those birds that you were having in your backyard are making their way back down south for the winter. That being said, because it's migration season, you might start seeing some new and different things passing through your backyards. I like to pull these maps up from the Cornell Lab of Ornithology. This is their birdcast maps, and these will predict where birds are passing through and in what numbers. And so you can see there is some activity happening in our neck of the woods in Western New York, but you can see the map for the whole country and see what's going on where you might be. Texas, Southern Texas is going to have a big migration event tonight and into the night of September 11th as well. So you can see where some of that action is going to be taking place over the next few nights. And so you can always look at Birdcast. It's just Google Birdcast. I believe the website is birdcast.info. And you can always check it out and see what kind of map, what kind of activity is happening in your area. So you can always pull up these maps at any time. But I always think it's pretty interesting to do, especially during migration times. So not a lot happening in our area. Probably tonight going into tomorrow morning is going to be the most over the next couple days, according to these maps. So definitely migration time. We'll have waterfowl migration coming through. We'll have lots of waterfowl. I'll show you a couple that we'll start to see in the area in just a moment. But then also warblers. So warblers are passing through. I saw a whole bunch of little things bopping around in the trees yesterday. And in my backyard, I had a common yellowthroat. Looked like a female or it could have been a juvenile, just hopping around in my backyard in one of the bushes. So it took me a minute to figure out what it was. But the warblers are passing through on their way back down south. So don't be surprised if you see some coming to any kind of trees you have that might be attracting insects, or if you have trees that are producing berries, or if you have a bird bath. Those are all great ways to attract warblers. So I had one of these little guys or gals, if I guess you could say, in my backyard yesterday, which was really cool. And then ruby crown kinglet. We are hearing more and more reports of ruby crown kinglet, and will continue to over the next few months. They'll be more common here than they have been in the spring and summer. And I've been getting ruby crown kinglets getting picked up almost every day on my haiku box, which is a product you can plug in and put outside, and it will listen to the birds that are in your backyard or wherever you might be. And it'll keep a running list of all of those. And so it does that all the time, 24/7. So it's not like the Merlin app where you hear something and then you identify it. what Haiku Box does is it will listen to those songs throughout the whole day. And then at any moment, you can go on your location and on the Haiku Box app and pull up all the different birds it's heard and actually even listen to the sound clips that it has stored from your own yard. So really, really cool. So we'll be getting more reports, I'm sure, of ruby crown kinglet. And then there's also golden crown kinglet, which are coming back into the area. So if you see some little things hopping around in your backyard, could be warblers, could be some of these kinglets. Orioles are starting to fizzle. Some people are still getting them coming to their backyards and eating some jelly. For the most part, most people are saying they haven't seen any in about a week or 2 weeks. And that's for the people who are really getting them with some regularity over the course of the season. So the Baltimore Orioles are heading back down south. That being said, they are as far as their summer ranges go, or their breeding range, if you will, they do fly all the way up into Canada. So we will have some of those birds flying through and migrating through the area. That might be what people are getting now in their backyards. So you might still see some throughout the month of September, but for the most part, they are really gone and making their way back down south for the winter. And that blue, the parts of the map there in blue are where they will spend the winter. So they go all the way down to Florida or Cuba, Mexico, Central America, or even the northern part of South America. So they have a long flight to go depending on where they will spend the winter. So Orioles are on their way down south. Hummingbirds, though, people are still getting hummingbirds, and they're having some pretty good luck with attracting them to feeders now that it is migration time, and they're really loading up on those calories to go down south. As far as where they don't go as far south as the Orioles do, but they will go down to southern tip of Florida or Mexico and Central America for the winter. So it's that time of the year where these migrants are going back down south, and then we'll see them come back to the area around May or so. Early May is when they first usually start to come back. But some birds to be on the lookout for in your backyard as it does as we do go on into fall migration, going to be things like white-crowned sparrow. You might see them underneath your bird feeders, and then also white-throated sparrow. Two pretty common backyard birds that will visit feeders, especially visit underneath the bird feeders and clean up the little seeds that are underneath that other birds have thrown around. So be on the lookout for them. And if you're by the water, different waterfowl will start to fly in. The snow goose is one of them. Things like redhead and ringneck duck. Waterfowl migration season is happening. So if you are able to go out to any place that has lots of ponds or marshes, you might come across some different types of waterfowl that you haven't seen during the summer months. Things like horned grebe. This is another bird that is starting to flow through. This on the left is what it looks like in its breeding plumage, but right now it's not. They're not going to be that brightly colored. At least the males won't be that brightly colored like that this time of the year. So be on the lookout for things like grebes and loons will pass through. Scoters we'll start to see coming back to the area. And it's only a matter of time before we start to see some of those winter ducks. So it's that time of the year. People are also seeing monarch butterflies. Right now we're in the peak of monarch butterfly migration. So we just had quite a storm yesterday in the area, which probably didn't help the migration for that day. But be on the lookout for monarch butterflies. They are going down south to Mexico also. So they have quite a long migration. And down in Mexico, they will fill these forests and cover the trees and cover the branches. And they will spend all winter there down in the southern part of Mexico. So they are on the move. And right now, for about the next week or so, we're going to be in the peak of monarch migration in our area. So be on the lookout for groups of monarch butterflies. And you might even see the caterpillars still on your milkweed plants as we get to those last caterpillars of the season. and they will pupate, and those monarch butterflies will make that trek down to Mexico also. Some other butterfly photos that were sent in by Karen. Here are some sulfur butterflies. Looks like some clouded sulfurs, and they are doing the puddling behavior where they'll rest on mud or sand or stones, and they'll siphon off the nutrients from this mud or from the substrate that they're landing on. I've been seeing them on ash around campfires. I've been having good luck finding some butterflies there doing puddling behaviors. But if you have any kind of stream or pond around you, look around the edges where it's muddy, and you might just come across this puddling behavior from butterflies. Pretty cool. And then here is a little caterpillar that Karen sent a photo in. This, she says, found my dill plant covered with tiny eastern black swallowtail caterpillars. So that is really fun, I think. This is the reason I plant extra dill. I plant extra parsley, and they love these herbs. So they like dill, parsley, fennel. So look on your herb plants, and you might find some black swallowtail caterpillars, and this is a small one. They go through different instars, just like the monarch butterfly caterpillars do. As far as the colors, though, on monarch butterfly caterpillars, as they are growing and going through each succession of their instars and shedding their skin, their coloration doesn't really change. They just get bigger and bigger, but they still have those same black, white, and yellow stripes. But as far as the eastern black swallowtail, they can look very, very different with each instar. So I thought I would pull those pictures. So it looks like what Karen has here in her garden is the first instar. If you look at the top left photo there, that is the first instar of these black swallowtail caterpillars. So they still have quite a ways to go. So you can see how their coloration changes quite a bit as they grow. So she's got the first instar, and there'll be a couple more, and each time they do look quite different, with that third and final instar looking really, really quite different from the first. And they will most likely this time of the year spend the winter inside their pupa. So another caterpillar to be on the lookout for, especially as we get even more into the fall, is going to be the woolly bear caterpillar. You can find these crawling along on the ground. Usually they will feed on different grasses and plantains, so they can be very, very common, especially in backyards, or if you're out hiking anywhere where there are mowed trails. Probably odds are very, very good you'll see a little woolly bear caterpillar crawling around the ground. And there is a folklore about the woolly bear caterpillar that the legend says the wider the rusty brown section of a woolly bear caterpillar, the milder the winter will be. The more black there is, the more severe the winter will be. So that's a myth that has been going around about the woolly bear caterpillar, but nobody has really been able to prove that that is true. It has more to do with how old that caterpillar is. It's going to depend on what their coloration is in general. So, but it is fun to see them as they are crawling around on the ground this time of the year. And you might see these too. I've been seeing some of these in the grasses. These are called American oil beetles. They're a type of blister beetle. They're fairly large and kind of a metallic blue, and they have this very, very large abdomen. They don't fly. They have very, very small wings. But the blister beetles are in a genus of beetles commonly referred to as oil beetles. Their name comes from their defensive strategy. So if you were to poke at this beetle or try to pick it up or anything like that, you might see this behavior. They do have a defensive strategy where when they're threatened, they release oily droplets from their joints. The fluid is bright orange and contains a poisonous chemical compound. So you want to make sure to not touch or disturb these blister beetles, because you don't want to get that on your hands or on your skin. But they are out this time of the year. Again, just like that woolly bear caterpillar, they tend to just be crawling on the grass because they are so big, they can't fly. So that is everything I have for you guys today. Looks like there's a couple of you guys on here with comments. Steel Monkey is on and says, "Hi Liz, just want to let you know All the bald-headed birds are gone. Thank God, they were creeping me out. Yeah, they do look really weird. And they also say, oh, and every birdie, hit that like button. It helps the channel. Yeah, absolutely. You can hit the like button, especially if you're watching this on YouTube, and you can be notified about new videos and things like that as we post them. So that's always super, super helpful. But I'm glad to hear that your bald birds are gone. They can look kind of weird when they are bald, especially cardinals and blue jays are the two different types of birds that you're most likely to see exhibiting the bald features where they just molt all the feathers on their head all at once. So we're getting towards the end of that for this year, but you still might see them. It's not impossible to see them around this time. And Randy's on says, good morning, Liz and every birdie. So it looks like that's everybody's comments for the day. We'll be back on Saturday with another broadcast. And until then, you can always send in your photos. If you have any photos of things you've seen in your backyard or while out hiking, absolutely send those in. And if you are in the area, join us for Telescope Night tomorrow night. That's Wednesday night. That is September 11th from 8 to 10 p.m. at Whitehaven Park. And for more information about that, you can visit our website, which is thebirdhouseny.com, and check out our events section for that and other events that we have coming up for the rest of the year. So we will end on that note, and we'll be back on Saturday with another broadcast. So everybody have a great week, and we'll talk to you.